some ground rules. First of all, this is my good side. All right, we're going to take pictures. Megan, I'm looking at you. This side only. How's everyone doing this evening? I hope everyone is getting some good tips and insight. My approach is going to be a little different from local search and in sort of my day-to-day for the past few years. It hasn't been super focused on thinking about content and how local consumers consume content, but more about how my clients can make a return on investment from marketing online. And we're going to talk about what the human element can contribute to that, and how we can think a little differently about automation and processes. So a quick snap poll. Everyone take a look at this list here, and I want to get a feel for what's on everyone's automation wish list. So if you can kind of set and forget and program something that does any one of these things for you, so that you don't have to think about it, who would be interested in something like that? Okay, at least most people. I will not be helping you accomplish that. Here's the problem. One of the things that gave our industry a bad rap is that we have a tendency to try and scale and automate tactics. Right? So there's an end product, an end outcome that we want another human being to see and experience based on this thing that we set up and let loose on the interwebs. Some examples would be automated outreach. Does anyone remember that poor bastard that got skewered by Avinash when he cold called outreach emailed him? Some poor little noob out in Utah, poor guy. That was a very public embarrassment and a clear example of how this can go very, very wrong if you think about it in these terms. Link prospecting, a similar thing, right? Who's here got their ass handed to them by some black and white creature, algorithmically speaking? Don't lie. Come on. Well, at any rate, you take an automated set and forget push to it, you probably wind up building something that might be problematic. Audience research is the one I have probably the most issue with, simply because if you can find a reliable, effective way to scale empathy, you wouldn't be in this room. You'd be in Silicon Valley somewhere making $1 billion freaking. There's no good way to scale empathy such that your automated audience research is anywhere near as effective. There's a very big personality back there somewhere that does that for iAcquire. I defy you to try and capture Norris in a program of some sort. Chris Slay, if you're willing to take that on, I'd be interested to see the outcome. Publishing to social media, how many meltdowns have we seen as a result of some sort of lax policy, some kind of loophole in the system where someone was able to go AWOL? It's just not a good idea. Performance reporting, another one of my favorites. You can program something to spit out a Google Analytics PDF. What you can't program something to do is translate that into business insights. You can't program something to tell your client, based on what you're seeing here, these are the things that did well, these are the things that do not so well. Our opportunities for the next month, the next quarter, are A, B, and C. Here's what we need to invest, and here's why. Get out your checkbook. That cannot be automated. So just want to challenge everyone to think about that a little differently. Here's why I care about it, right? So we're talking about the human element, content processes, and content strategy. I think about these eager and go-get-em faces here. This team, this fresh-faced set of marketers that just want to go out there and do a good job. And the biggest tragedy that I can think of is taking a group of engaged young professionals, or it doesn't have to be any group of engaged professionals, and foist a system on them that turns them from this to something that looks like this. If you decide to sit there and scale and automate processes in the way that the industry is currently known for, what you wind up creating is a system that pumps out the same thing cheaply and efficiently but what you wind up doing is competing on pumping out more units of automated crap. And how easy is that to replicate? All someone has to do is figure out how to do it as cheaply or cheaper, and you're redundant, you're irrelevant. What you can't scale and you can't automate is that human touch. You can't replicate on a reliable basis someone who has an insight, someone who has the next big idea based on a truly well-founded automated process that gets them information in a usable way, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. So again, this is something to avoid. But what about scale, you might ask? The only good way to run a business right now is to make things scalable and profitable for us. By the way, quick note here. When you enter desperation into clipart in Microsoft, you get a screaming smiley with a Ronald McDonald link. I have no idea what that's about, but there you have it. At any rate, you can think about it in terms of doing more stuff inexpensively, and that's kind of the way that scale is interpreted in many, many places by many, many people. I prefer to think about it as, why don't we define scale as satisfying more end users so that they want to do business with you more often and tell other people about you. That their experience with you is so pleasurable and so beneficial to them that they have to tell someone else about it. And that's where you really get the benefits of scale, where the experience that you are imparting on your end users is what's having kind of getting more people to want to have the same experience with you. So how do we accomplish that? I'm going to leave that there for a minute. Let you ponder the relevance of this. Any opportunity I can take to reference a really goofy buddy cop movie, I will take, but it works here. Follow me. The formula for a buddy cop movie goes something like this in nearly every case. You get two people that are very different personality trait-wise, that are tasked with solving the same problem, but they're both convinced for most of the movie that they are actually opposed goal-wise to each other. And what winds up happening somewhere along the way is that one of the buddy cops ends up surprising the other buddy cop in a very pleasantly surprised kind of way, which starts to build a trust foundation, starts to kind of get the thoughts going, well, wow, maybe this person really is aligned with my goals, maybe they really are, maybe they really do get it. And by the end of the movie, they discover that, yeah, all along we really were going after the same thing. We really did have the same goal. We really did want to bust that drug dealer. We really did care about that kidnapped little girl. We really did care about that rec center full of orphans. And all it took was this creepy little bundle of kick-ass to surprise buddy cop A. And that's what I'm challenging everyone here to think about their team a little differently. The tendency tends to be, in places I've worked before, in shops I've visited, what we want to do is take a bunch of junior people, kind of churn and burn, define a process for them rigidly, and have them deliver against that process without giving them any ownership to improve or change it. So, we don't give them the opportunity to surprise us. We don't give them the opportunity to let them show that, heck, our goals really might be aligned and we're all actually trying to work towards the same thing. And here's the kicker. More often than not, they just are. If you think about it, if I'm a team member of any marketing team, I want to get lots of experience, I want to work on resume building marquee projects, and I want career growth and security. Everybody that's here probably wants that. Am I wrong?
No.
Anyone disagree?
No. Okay.
If I'm a marketing shop, I want to serve more customers properly. I want to have an impressive set of case studies, and I want to have marquee clients. I want to be the guy that serves Microsoft. I want to be the guy that works on PepsiCo, Unilever, whatever. the reason I want that is because I want to maintain a pipeline of customers, and I want them to continue to have good experiences, and heck, maybe even recommend me. We wind up talking about the same fucking thing, don't we? We want high volume work, we want to do quality work, so that we can build a profitable brand. Everyone wants the same thing. The team members in the business. So why are we convinced we're these people? Let's not spend the first 45 to 50 minutes of our movie working against each other, even though it might be hilarious. So if the emphasis is on quality work, here's my thought. Automation done right is meant to accomplish this. It facilitates the fulfillment of high volume projects while emphasizing quality in order to create a profitable brand for everyone involved. In this case, profit can mean a few things. If I'm a business owner, that means revenue. If I'm a functionary, if I'm a marketer, that means my career or my skills are advancing in some way. If I'm an end user, that means I'm getting something useful, valuable, transformative, all around cool out of my interaction with an asset, with a process. No matter how you slice it, whoever touches an automated process needs to have that final experience. So let's talk about some tools to help you get that. Everything has to start with a well-defined workflow, and Bliffy is my go-to project workflow. And basically, like Fajr was describing, you've got a project plan, you've got the stakeholders lined up, and you've got the project defined. What you definitely want to do is document it visually in some way, so that everyone that touches that project can answer the following questions. Who owns what, when, and what am I supposed to be handing off or getting in terms of assets so I can move this project along? And what's the order of operations here? If you've never flowcharted before in your life, don't worry about it. Start somewhere. If you're going to start anywhere, start here. Just learn these shapes, process the start and end of something, a decision point. There's all these diamond looking things. What an input and output is, indicating what a manual process is, and documents. So documents, obviously, for any project are going to be key. Someone has to hand something to somebody. Start there. A process flowchart could be much more complex than this, it could be much more nuanced than this, but at least have something that people can rally around and say, okay, if I'm going to get a creative brief together, it starts here, the people involved, based on color codes, are this team, and this team, or this person. The approvals happen here, 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 and here, and at the end I'm supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 4 deliverables. If any of that isn't true, I know I've missed a step, and I can easily go back and look at what I've missed and analyze what I messed up. And by the way, when you have a post-mortem, and you should have a post-mortem, Fajr also made a reference to this at the end when you look at how successful something was. If it wasn't successful, something like this can perhaps help you laser focus on those bottlenecks that were mentioned. Where did things get hung up? Where did they get stuck? Where did things stop happening? Where did momentum get lost? If you don't have this visualization, it's email trails, it's series of meetings to talk things through based on recollections and what you have in email. It's voicemails, it's all types of things that are probably helpful in some way, but really this is the rally point. So it's free to start. I recommend the full suite, but you can start playing with it right away and get a workflow up and running pretty darn quick. Similarly, I also like Trello. I think the opportunities here. What does this have to do with automation? Sorry, I'm going to back up for a second. if you've got this laid out once, what you've got is a map that anyone can follow pretty quickly and easily, and take them through beginning of the process through the end with relatively little hand-holding, training, intervention, if it's done right. So if the goal of automation is to remove as much overhead as possible, this is a big helpful asset. Trello, very similar. You set up project cards, you lay out the steps once, and then you can copy the template card as many times as you can. You can also see stakeholders here, which can tie back to your workflow document. The nice thing about this is, you can color code things, and I won't rehash too much, but very, very useful. The real magic happens when you use it to automate your communication, your status updates. All these two links, you're going to learn a couple of things. You're going to learn how to hook up Trello to a Google Doc so that it creates a backup of all the projects you have going on there, so you can summarize them much easier via spreadsheet. And you're going to learn how to fire emails from your spreadsheet so that when certain milestones are hit, they wind up in whoever you want's inbox based on rules that you set up in the Google Doc. So think of it this way. I set a label on my project card that says gating or that says milestone. When I close it, it lands in a Google Doc, which uses a formula to fire an email to send it to my manager to say, I'm done. Final piece of it, hand over the keys to your people. Give them ownership of all the processes and the assets, and let them surprise you. Let them show you that they deserve trust to help you move